Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I always like to introduce this wonderful team that God has provided me. So let me start out with my faithful assistant, Faith. She's basically been my assistant her whole life. She was about 3 weeks old when her dad brought her to church first. And she was basically his assistant at that time because he would put her in one hand and he would work the soundboard in the other hand. And when she was old enough to crawl, he let her go, and she crawled right up onto the stage like she belonged there. So we left her there. I had a portable mic at the time, so I could step over her. And then I put her on the podium when we did announcements, and I think everybody paid more attention because there's a cute little baby on the podium, you know. But she grew up like 6 blocks from my house, and her dad was a tow truck driver at that time. So when he would do out of town tows, he would drop the girls at my house. And I have a project house that I always have projects going on, whether that's filing or looking through records, or, you know, I always had a project. And so I got to see her work. And then when she was 14 and a half, she said, I don't want to be a babysitter anymore or a nanny. I want a real job. And so I hired her for my ozone business, and the rest is history. And then we went live for the pandemic. And I said, do you want to be my ministerial assistant? And she said, yeah. And so here we are 5 years later, almost exactly 5 years later. And she's still my assistant. Anyway, she is the woman behind the scenes that does everything so that I can just speak, because I don't multitask well when I'm trying to speak. I get really sidetracked, and then I can't remember what I was saying. So like in The Wizard of Oz, you know, you pull back the curtain, you see an old man. You pull back the curtain here and you see Faith. But she answers all of the questions and statements as me. And so we ask that you say hi, hello, good morning, because in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces beaming back at me. And here I get a number. I don't even get a name. So I don't even know who's in attendance. And so we ask that you say hi, hello, good morning, and she will answer you as me. She's very accurate, though. Only twice in 5 years have I had to answer a question that was unanswered, or, you know, whatever. And so she's a good assistant. I mean, you know, she's the mom. And she's also our soloist. And so today she's going to be singing a song that we can't find. It's called First I Plant a Seed. Reverend
Lynn song of where we found it, where it came from.
We have no idea.
Still can't find out where it came from.
No, we've been searching for years and have not been able to locate it. Even when Lynn was still alive, I would ask him, where do you think that song came from? I don't know. Okay. So
we dreamt it, and voila.
Yeah. So we had an audio file of it, and so I copied down the words and I sent it to Faith so that she could sing it for you. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I couldn't do this without you, darling. Love you. And then there is my partner in crime, the wise and powerful Oz, who was my first baby practitioner, meaning he took all of his training with me except for one class, and then became my board president for many years, and then moved off to Florida, which meant that we couldn't have him in the service anymore. This technology wasn't available at that time. And so when we went live for the pandemic, I asked him if he'd be willing to be the practitioner of the day. And now it's 5 years, and he's that every week. I don't think either one of us expected it to be this long. So that means that he does the invocation, the benediction, and is available at the end for our 1-minute miracle. And I'll talk more about that later, but it's so nice to have this team. I can't tell you. So thank you so much, Oz. I couldn't do it without you. Love you. All right. And then I also like to introduce our adjunct music team, because I really couldn't do this without them either. One is Reverend Fairy Lane Silver, who was the first to ask us to do her music on Sunday. And the other one is Karen Drucker, who provided us, gifted us in her entire collection of music, which was at that time like 20 CDs, but she gave us, karaoke files and songbooks so that we could have the lyrics and everything. So these two ladies made it possible for us to do a more traditional type of Sunday service. And then I also want to put a shout out for Albertina Giuffre, who was our singer from 2000 till I think 2021, something like that, when she needed to sell her house and get it ready for sale. And so she stepped back and Faith stepped in. And she's better known as Tina. She does appear on camera during what she calls the crying season, which is Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Memorial Day. And she also comes for 2 of our Advent weeks at Christmas time. So that is the team that God gifted me. All right. And so there's a watch party button that you can click on, invite all your friends. It's a great way for them to know what kind of Sunday service they can expect. And it's a great way for you to communicate with them in case they have questions, because it's a private chat situation. So right now, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The presence of God is always right here, right now. For God, as we conceive of it, is all there is. The great circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. For God encompasses all of the existence and creates existence in you in each moment. It is always here, it always has been, and it always will be. So if you're watching us live, here we are. And if you're watching us in the future, there God is too, for God is always with us, in us, as us, and all around us. And enacting things as we conceive of them, God has created them. We know that there are blessings involved in this, and we give thanks for being part of those blessings, and we allow them to unfold. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. This next song is one that Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver wrote when she was in practitioner training. And it's a great reminder of how connected we all are.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it my being. Spirit is all I am. surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
I just love that message, by the way. When there's so much division in our country, I love that we can look at being all one as a way to bring us back together. So I love that song. All right. If you're just joining us for the right now, remember to say hello, good morning, hi, however you want to greet us. When we're in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces beaming back at me. Here I get a number. I don't even get a name, so I don't know who's in attendance. And it's always nice to know who's here. If you like something that you hear, whether that's something I say or Oz prays or Faith sings, use that thumbs up button. And if you love something, by all means, send us hearts, because we love to get, love. And if something strikes you as really powerful, then by all means, use that wow button. It gives me some great feedback to let me know when I'm on track. So definitely do that. But without further ado here, we are going to have Faith singing First I Plant a Seed.
Thank you. First I plant a seed. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of love, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind, and I water it with thoughts and loving kindness too. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow into everything I do. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of friendship, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. And I water it with thoughts of friends so dear and true. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow into all my friends like you. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of peace, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. Then I water it with thoughts of peace for everyone. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow for everyone. Peace for everyone. Everyone in the sun.
Thank you. I asked her to do it a cappella because I don't know what would happen to me if I listened to his voice singing it, and I didn't want to get, teary-eyed and have a hard time, and at first she's like, well, then, I'll be playing the song, and I'm like, no, because I'll still hear his voice. So you did a good job and you made it through it. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Oh, goodness. So the whole sermon today is based on First I Plant a Seed. I like doing this sermon during the spring because this is the time we start to think about planting, but also because this is when we want to focus our attention on what we're planting, not only in the garden, but in our mind, right? And so it's a perfect song for that. I wish I know where Reverend Lynn got it, because we've searched and have not been able to find it anywhere. So if anyone out there knows where that song comes from or knows who did it, please let us know. Because it would be nice to at least, be able to give credit to whoever it is, but can't do that. And so I'm going to start by putting up our teaching symbol, because this is really the creative process, whether you're planting a garden or you're planting your life. So, and we use this for our teaching symbol so that we can explain to people what it is we teach, what we believe. And so the first thing that you'll notice is that there is a circle that is that represents the unbroken unity of all life, meaning we are all one, just like the song before said. And in that unbroken unity, all is included. So it doesn't matter whether we're talking about people or this desk or animals or the air or water or anything. It's all included in that one. Okay. And although, we can't really part out God because it's all one, right? And so in order to be able to speak about this in a way that helps everyone understand what it is we teach, we had to make 3 parts of it. And so in that circle, there is a beginning. There is a top portion, which is the conscious mind, and that's the beginning of where everything comes from. For instance, with God, that's the conscious mind that God thought us into being with, right? And in the individual, it is when I have an idea of what I want to create in my life, that's where this comes from. And when you're planting a garden, this is where the seed comes from, right? It's the idea of the plant. And, excuse me. And so the middle portion, when it comes to God, is the God stuff, is what I like to call it. It's the matter of the universe. And the quantum physics backs us up on that middle portion there by saying that all matter is the same. It doesn't matter whether what's being created is a person or a desk or air or water or an animal or anything else. Everything is the same stuff. Now, they don't talk about a divine substance, but we do. So I call that God stuff, that in the world, everything that is made of comes from that divine matter. Okay, and then in the individual, that middle portion is where every experience we've ever had and our reaction to every experience we've ever had is located. It's stored kind of like a computer hard drive, and it's where we go to access unconsciously, but it's where we go to access what we believe. And when you're talking about a garden, that's the soil that you plant the seed in, right? And you water it and fertilize it and all of that right there in the middle. Now, the bottom portion is where the plant emerges, right? After we've planted it and watered it and fertilized it, and we've, taken great care to make sure it grows, the bottom portion is the plant that we thought about in the first place. And the in God, that's us. That's where we are created in form. That's the form of us, or the table, or the animals, or the air, or the water. That's the end result. In the individual, that is where the ideas that we had in the conscious mind, that top portion, going through the subjective unconscious, comes into being if there's nothing in the subjective mind to counteract it. Now, in my experience, what happens is we can either create consciously, where that's where the V comes in. You see that V is the process of creation. Now, we can either create consciously, meaning that we have the idea in our conscious mind, we put it through the subjective mind, and it comes out into form. And then, just like the garden at the end of the season, it disappears back into the nothingness from which it came. That's the other side of the V. Or we can create subjectively or unconsciously from that middle portion, being our limited beliefs and everything else that's stored there, creates without our consent, pretty much. our conscious consent, anyway. And when that happens, it goes down into form and returns back to the nothingness from which it came, but it never involves that top portion or the conscious mind. And so it's important for us to recognize how we are creating. We want to create consciously, obviously, because if we have, say, okay, so it doesn't matter what topic we're talking about, but say in that subjective mind, we have recorded that we lived in poverty most of our life. So when someone says you have a poverty consciousness, that's where that's located, because that's all the experience we've had, and it is the way we've reacted to that conscious experience, or that unconscious experience, that creates the world that we are experiencing. And if we're creating unconsciously, it never actually makes it up to the conscious mind. So if I'm affirming, for example, in the top portion, I'm affirming that I have more than, $10,000 or more in revenue coming in, and we have poverty consciousness in that middle portion, it's going to go, nope, you don't deserve that. Nope, that's not what's going to happen. And it just bounces back, and it never actually makes it to form, right? And so we spend a lot of time in our traditions working with that subjective material that says, I'm not worthy, whether that's love or health or prosperity, it's the same. That's where all the beliefs are located of not deserving or not being worthy, or, you can't do that. That's where all of that is located. So it's important for us to work with that material to make sure that we are planting the right seed, and that our subjective mind is receptive to that seed we're planting, so that it comes to fruition in form. And, luckily not every thought is creative, because we have something like 400 thoughts a minute. Can you imagine? I know in my world, it's like, I want that. No, I don't. I want this. No, I don't. I want that. No, I don't. There's no permanence at all if you're creating from every single thought, right? So it's a good thing we have a filter that says the preponderance of our thought. In other words, what we focus our attention on grows. So if I focus my attention on love, for example, and I am creating from a place of bitterness for relationships that didn't work out or something like that. If I'm creating from that, then I'm going to create another awful relationship, because I'm giving myself the opportunity to heal that consciousness about it. Now, if we get that clear, then when we say, I am now attracting the perfect woman, the perfect guy, whatever it is, into my reality, if we can affirm that and it goes through, that means that we've cleared that subjective mind, and we do attract the right person to us. But I also want to focus on the feelings of it, right? Because while thoughts are creative, they're more creative, or they're more powerful with our thoughts and our feelings combined. So if I can get into a feeling state of love, then I know that I'm attracting to myself someone who is going to allow me to feel more love, right? Does that make sense? And so, and it works the same way with health, because if I am focused on everything that's wrong in my life, if I'm focused on, say, for instance, like my Hashimoto's, or even my broken back, like I'm still recovering from my broken back. If I'm focused on what I can't do, then that becomes the creative factor. And so I've been celebrating lately all the little things that I've been able to do now. I'm 7 weeks in from breaking it. And so now I'm able to do a little bit of laundry. I can't carry big loads and put them in the washing machine. So Faith has been doing that for me. And putting them in the dryer for me. Then I can take them out and fold them. Or like doing dishes. It takes me, a half an hour to do a sink full of dishes, but I get them done, which I couldn't do before at all. I couldn't do anything before. And so what we're focusing on is the feeling of independence, the feeling of I'm getting better, But the thought process is that my body now conforms to the blueprint of God. And so, God doesn't have back trouble. And so that's what I focus my attention on. But that's the way it works. So if the preponderance of my thought is about a healthy back and freedom to move and being able to get things done, if that's the preponderance of my thought and I focus in on the feelings of independence, I don't really like to be dependent on other people. So it's really hard for me. Like, especially when I have to sit there, I couldn't even vacuum, and they still don't want me to vacuum because that where the break is right, like across where your bra strap would be, right, which affects your arms and all of that. But also this motion is very bad for it. And so I have to sit there and watch people vacuum, and it drives me crazy. And so when I'm having that reaction to it, I sit there and I think about the day that I will be able to vacuum, and I allow myself to feel what it feels like to be able to do stuff. And that's what I think is healing my back as quickly as it is. They said 8 to 12 weeks, and I'm actually ahead of the game a little bit, but I also overdo it at times because, that's what happens too. You start feeling good and then you think, oh, I can do that. And then, oh, I did too much. But the reason I'm saying all of this is because we don't pray for something, we pray it. Because if you're praying for something, it's acknowledging there is a lack of that something already. And we are praying for it to come into our lives. We pray it, meaning that we are having the experience of knowing it is there already, and we are feeling it. And so today I'm going to talk a little about our form of prayer, which is spiritual mind treatment, meaning that we are treating our mind. We are not asking or beseeching God to do something, but in fact, we are rearranging our frequency so that they vibrate at the same frequency of God as God has. And so when we're doing that, we have a 5-step system that we have developed. Well, I should say we. Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, did. But it's a 5-step of treatment. And I don't have the, we used to have this little chart that said RUTR, are you ready to receive? It was an acronym for us. I don't know what happened to it, but I don't have it. Anyway, so, but what that does is it also lays out the 5 steps of treatment. The first step, the first R, is recognition, where I recognize that God is all there is. I recognize the power and the presence and the love and the beauty of God, the divine blueprint of health that is God. I recognize all of that. And then the second step is unification, where I recognize or I unify myself with that power. And that is where we know that, this is where I find myself in the midst of God, my very essence, my very being, my very life. It is who and what I am, and every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through all. Okay, so that's the unification step. Now, when I'm teaching people how to do treatment, I ask them to spend at least a paragraph in the recognition step and the unification, and another paragraph in the unification step. Because the more time I spend cultivating a relationship with God, the more powerful the rest of the prayer is. Because once I acknowledge how powerful God is and how connected I am in God, then by that point, my consciousness is now ready to receive the realization step. That's that second R. And that is just like an affirmation. So if you're affirming prosperity, for example, I now easily and effortlessly attain and maintain an income of $10,000 a month or more. And provided that I don't have anything that comes up around that right away, like you don't deserve that, then I'm done with that step. If I start to feel some resistance in that step, I might do another sentence. But we try to keep it to 1 or 2 sentences in the realization step. again, we have prepared the soil for the seed of affirmation as a realization step to take, if that makes any sense. And then the fourth step, or let me give you some other ones if you're working on other issues. So for love, for example, the realization step would be something like, I am now in the perfect relationship where I feel loved and valued, and I feel the love just flowing through my body, right? My heart, my soul, my mind, you know. Or if you're working on health like I've been, my realization step has been, I now have perfect bone health that conforms to the DNA blueprint of God's creation. Okay. And it allows me to move freely and to experience freedom. That's been my realization step for health. But whatever you're working on, it's the same. Like, say for instance, the Hashimoto's is another one I've done. And again, I say, you know, my body is now conforming to the DNA blueprint that lives in God. And then I say, you know, and I am now filled with energy, because, you know, that's one of the things. I am now filled with energy, and I have fluidity of movement and mobility, and I'm able to eat what I need for my body without causing any ill effects. Or probably I don't say it that way. I think the last time I said it, I said I can eat whatever I want, and it is nutritious for my body and helps my body function. I think that's how I've been putting it. It's been a while. You know, like I said, it's been 7 weeks for my back, so I've been focused on that. It's the more dire of the two. But anyway, and then the fourth step is actually Thanksgiving, but I wish I could change it to G, for gratitude, because it doesn't work. RUTGR doesn't work, because then it's like, are you ready? Go release. Right. So Dr. Ernest Holmes named it as Thanksgiving. And truly, I mean, gratitude is the magnetic force of the universe. If I'm grateful for what I already have instead of focused on what I don't have, then it grows and multiplies, and it is attracted to me. So the gratitude step is also just one sentence usually. It might be two. It depends on the person, but whatever it takes for you to reach that feeling of gratitude. Now, we're not grateful that, you know, I don't have Hashimoto's anymore or anything like that. We're not going to pick up the issue. We're going to be grateful. I feel so grateful that this is done already, this is true, that this is so, because that's what we're grateful for, right? And we're not picking up the issue. We're actually just allowing ourselves to sit in the gratitude, because every time I bring up what it is I'm grateful for, my mind automatically goes to that thing. And then I start thinking about how awful it is right now. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's this process that our mind goes through in this process of creation, that it's very important that we stay in that state of gratitude, knowing that it is already ours. So we don't say thank you for the relationship. We don't say thank you for the prosperity. We don't say thank you for the health. We say, I'm grateful that this is done now. It is already so. Now, in my case, because I'm usually praying for other people, I will say, and I'm so grateful to be in service this way. So you can add like that other sentence. But you don't want to spend too much time going back and forth with this, because it's really, you've argued your way through it for the first 3 steps. And now it's time to just be grateful. And then the last step is release. And the release step really is important. It doesn't sound like it would be, but it is. Because unless we release it and let God work on it, if we're keeping hashing it over and hashing it over, then we've never really allowed God to do its work, right? And so even in a garden, right? So many people, you know, when they're praying, will keep picking up the issue, and then they'll go, it's been 5 minutes, hasn't worked yet. But we would never think of doing that in a garden. We would never think of putting the seed in and doing the fertilizer and water and sun and all of that, and every 5 minutes digging up that seed and saying, oh, it hasn't grown yet, right? We wouldn't do that, because we do know that there is a process through which that plant goes through its growing process, right, to become the plant. And so we have to remember that spiritual mind treatment is the same way, that the process of creation is the same. And so when we get to that point where we've expressed our gratitude, now we're going to say, I let go and I let God. Some people like to say, I let go of this, and what is it? I can't even remember. I've heard it so many times, and in my mind, I go, no, don't do that. But I let go and let God is probably the best release you can do. And then I say, and so it is. Well, that's what we say is, and so it is, as a closure. But I have so many people from other traditions that have come into our church that I always like to say amen, because that's what they're accustomed to hearing as the conclusion of a prayer. So I will say, and so it is, amen. But that is our form of prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And at the end of that, you've released it, but if it pops up in your mind, feel free to do another full treatment. It's not like I released it, so I'm never going to do treatment again. That's not how it works. But if it pops up in your mind, in order to clear your vibration of the negativity of recognizing that perhaps it hasn't shown up yet, we right away drop into prayer and do it again. And that trains our consciousness to only see the positive, to only see the end result that we are requesting, or not requesting, demanding, making a statement for it. And so that's it in a nutshell. And like I said, we have 400 thoughts a minute, over 400 thoughts a minute, I believe. And so if every thought was creative, we'd never have any permanence at all. And what we know from the teaching symbol is that things return back to the nothingness from which it came. So there really isn't any permanence. The only unchanging thing in this world is God. God doesn't change up on us. It just remains steadfast and steady. But everything else in the world is changed, has change in it. When we plant a garden, and it returns back to the nothingness from which it came. And some of those plants come back in the next year. Some of them don't. But it's always changing and growing. Our lives are always changing and growing. What I liked, or who I was attracted to in my 20s, is so not who I'd be attracted to today. Faith and I've had a lot of conversations about, like, will I date again? And if I date, what's that going to be like? Because I've learned, I was with Reverend Lynn 43 years. So what I've learned from all of the relationships I've had, whether they were in my 20s or now, has taught me a lot about what I really want. And when we're working with love, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we're focused on what is the experience I want to have. The same thing with the prosperity. What is the prosperous feeling that I want to get? Is it freedom? Is it safety? Is it security? Is it, what are those feelings that I am cultivating by doing these prayers? And the same thing with health. We don't want to be focusing on what's wrong with us. We want to be focusing our attention on what is the feeling I expect to have when my body conforms to the DNA that God has, right? So that's really what the process of creation is about, and what I want us to focus our attention on. So this week, remember, it's recognition, unification, realization, Thanksgiving, and release. And if you find yourself not being able to remember the 5 steps, remember the acronym. Remember, are you ready to receive? RURTR. Okay? All right. So this week, I'd like you to focus on the creative process, working with your subjective material to get rid of any of those limiting beliefs that keep you from manifesting the life of your dreams. And then doing treatment when you locate something that you want that you haven't been able to achieve. And so this week, if you will participate with me, that's what your job is this week, is to eliminate as much of that limiting belief as you possibly can, and focus your attention on consciously creating the world you want to see. Okay, let's have a prayer. In this moment, I turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is, how beautiful, how amazing, how loving, how prosperous, how healthy that one power is. And that is where I find myself, in the midst of God, my very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am, and every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through all, as it flows through me as well. I know that same truth to be so for every member of the team. For as we receive information from that wisdom of the ages, the ancient wisdom of the ages, that leads us and guides us to what ought to be done by us, we are able to act with that power within us. I know that same truth to be so for every person who's listening, whether that be in real time or later on. Because I do know that that same power that flows through me and flows through our team flows through all, flows through anyone listening, anyone who's not listening. The same power flows through all. But I bring that to our attention right here, right now. Mitakuye and all my brethren, we are all related. And so I bless this coming week with amazing revelations about what needs to be healed so that we can perfect our world, our worldview, our reality. Those revelations lead us to even more revelations. Not only about what needs to be healed, but what we want to see in our world. What does poverty look and feel like? What does love look and feel like? True love, unconditional love. What does health look like? Absolute health. With the blueprint that we were created with. What does that look like and feel like? And as we go through this week and we practice our spiritual mind treatment, are you ready to receive? We are preparing the soil for that seed to take shape, to grow into a plant, or to grow into prosperity, or to grow into health or love. And as we prepare the soil and as we experience the results of that, we know that it is the power of God that allows us to create that. And so we just relax and let God do its work through us. And so I know the same truth to be so for every name that's in the ministry of prayer today. Because I do know that the same power that activates me to be able to create my world, and the same power that works to activate power of God in the team, each member of the team. I know that same truth is in action. So I pull back the veil and I reveal this truth here and now as good and very good in their names. And so with that, my heart just fills with gratitude to know that this is so and to let it be. And so it is. Amen.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Faith. Right now is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to share your gratitude for that which you have already received in the physical realm, or perhaps what you've already created in the mind of God but may not have yet experienced it in the physical realm. Excuse me. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to go to www.oasiscsl.org. And about 2/3 down the page, excuse me, is an offering affirmation I'll have you say with me. And underneath that is a Contribute Now button. And so let me just briefly go over what your contribution is about. So in a facility, we have rent and utilities, and there's all kinds of expenses related to that facility. Here we don't have those expenses. So the contributions are for a salary for Faith, because she does work hard, and global marketing. And here's why. Our vision is a healed world, and that's global. And our mission is to heal the world one person at a time. So in order to do that, we have to market to the world. Like right now, we have people from the Netherlands or Holland that tune in later, like 8 hours later. And from the UK, particularly England, and Germany, Philippines, India, Bangladesh. There's another one I can't think here. Anyway, but we would like it to be more global. Not only would we like to reach more people in those countries, but we would also like to reach countries that may not be seeing this yet. And so in order to do that, we have to market, and marketing takes money. So when you are doing your contribution, what you're doing is you are helping us get to our vision through our mission. So right now, whether that's in real time or later on, please go with me now to www.oasiscsl.org and say this offering affirmation with me. This perfect gift is spirit-informed, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is. Hit that Contribute Now button and help us get to our vision through our mission. All right. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast that serve our church. And they serve in 3 different ways. The first way that they serve is by doing treatment or prayer for every name that's in our ministry of prayer today. And they will do that every day for a week. And so if you would like prayer for something, put it in the comments section. And if you don't want it to be public, you can let Faith, DM Faith, and she'll let them know. We call our licensed practitioners the God Squad. Because back in 1998, I had this vision of practitioners marching in and taking charge. And that image has stuck with me all these years. So we just, when we opened this church in 1999, we said, okay, this is, this is what we're going to call our licensed practitioners. It's the God Squad. So if you don't want it to be public, you can DM Faith and she will make sure the God Squad gets the prayer requests. The second way that the licensed practitioners serve our church is by providing spiritual guidance for a fee by appointment. So you contact right now, that's Oz. You can message him on Facebook, Bob Oswald, and let him know that you would like counseling sessions for spiritual guidance. He will let you know how to pay for it. I don't get involved in that because practitioners have their own business. So some use Wise, some use PayPal, some use Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. There's an international one I can't remember. I can never remember, but Oz doesn't use that anyway. Unless there's somebody that, wants to do this internationally. And then he will let you know how to pay for it. And then he'll reach out by video chat at the appointed time for that spiritual guidance session. And the third way that practitioners serve our church, I almost always want to say Oz church, serves our church, but that's really the protocol is licensed practitioners do this, but whatever, is by being practitioner of the day. And as I said before, that means he does the invocation, the benediction, and then at the end, he's available after the service. He's available for what we call our 1-minute miracle. It is not a time for counseling, but it is a time for you to share whatever condition you're experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. So you get the sound of his voice doing the prayer as well as experiencing the prayer and the results of the prayer. So take advantage of this loving service that our practitioners provide. I myself utilize practitioners all the time because I know that sometimes I can't see the truth for myself and they can. So that's the gist of it all. Okay, now the next one is Brooks and Bailey. And this is a couple of ladies who have wonderful jewelry. They don't only have mala beads. They have like one of the bracelets that they sent me has like a little circle with a rod that goes through it and captures it so it doesn't fall off your wrist. It's fallen off like once in 5 years. And if you know me, you know that my jewelry falls off pretty regularly. I lost a diamond watch in Vegas and I was very blessed that someone turned it into security because I got it back. But I'm famous for rubbing against it or whatever that allows it to drop off my wrist. And this has not done that except for once in 5 years. So, but the thing that I like to focus on is the mala beads, and I'll do that in just a moment. You can reach these ladies at Brooks and Bailey 0307 at Gmail, or by their Facebook page that they have. All the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue, which is a very worthy cause. And their mala beads are wonderful. I have one that's amethyst, and it's $60, but they have gemstones that are like $30 and up for the necklaces, and I think it's $15 to $25 for the bracelets. Why I suggest the mala beads is that the Hindus and the Buddhists use those for their chants. They move one bead at a time to do their chants. And since I always recommend that you do 100 affirmations a day, I thought this is a perfect way to count those off and making sure that you're getting your 100 affirmations in. There's 108 beads on the necklace, and there's 54 on each of the bracelets. So if you do the bracelet twice a day, or twice in one day, and you do the necklace once a day, you're getting your 100 in, at least your 100 in. Not that there's any magic to the number 100. It's just how deep you bake the grooves in your brain to fire the synapses quicker. I've got a whole sermon around that later sometime. But what it does is it makes the reality of your affirmation happen. because your brain doesn't know the difference between truth or fiction. It only knows what it keeps hearing. And so if you're doing these affirmations out loud, you're involving your physical sense, you're involving, audience from hearing the words, you're involving yourself feeling those words as you say them. So all of that helps to make those grooves even deeper and sort of tricks the brain into believing this is the reality, which, is there. All right, so that's Brooks and Bailey. And then we like to support those who support us. So we always like to put Reverend Fairy Lane Silver's website up. She's not able to update her website for some reason to give you a way to pay. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with me today. And so what you need to do is go on the website, figure out what CDs you want, and email her and let her know that you want to pay for it, and she'll send you how to pay for it. And she travels around the country singing and playing guitar, so she has the CDs in her car. So once you've paid for them, she's very good at making sure you get them like right away. And the other one is Karen Drucker. Now, Karen Drucker's website works. You can buy it by the song, by the CD, by the karaoke file, by the songbook. And some of the songs in the songbook have American Sign Language. So if you're trying to learn how to sign, you have that. But you also have the lyrics. And if you're doing karaoke just for fun or actually out in public, you have those karaoke files. Okay. And so definitely check out these ladies. They both are on Spotify, so you can ask Google or Alexa to play their music on Spotify. Okay. Then check out our website at www.oasiscsl.org. And I know that our website is seriously out of date. It seems like the world is conspiring against me getting the changes made so that it's updated. Just one thing after another for the last 2 years. So I'm working on it. I still work on it a few minutes at a time. I haven't been able to sit in this chair except for church for 2 months now. So there you go. And even before that, because I had pneumonia. So it was like, but anyway, we know it's seriously out of date. So if you're looking to find past sermons that we've done, you can go to YouTube or SoundCloud under S. Tucker. YouTube are the video sermons, and SoundCloud has the audio sermons from years prior. So you can find those under S. Tucker. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Oz now.
And I know that right here, right now, that God's presence is manifesting in us, as us, and all around us. I know the presence of God is what makes the seed turn into the oak, and the oak turn back into the seed, in an endless cycle, perfect in its design, perfect in its outflowing and function. I know that perfection is in each and everything that we see, do, and hear. And I know that that is good and very good. And I let this be so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Oz. Excuse me. So we're going to be continuing with our springtime topics over the next few weeks. We have coming up, we have the metaphysical Passover. We have Easter. We have all these different topics. We are here at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, USA time every week. So definitely come see us next week. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning, and we were blessed to have you here with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you next week.